Reading from Chapter 3, pages 57 through 62 in our abridged text. Looking ahead. After reading this chapter, you should be able to describe how the body produces the energy it needs for exercise, list the major effects and benefits of cardiorespiratory endurance exercise, explain how cardiorespiratory endurance is measured and assessed, describe how frequency, intensity, time or duration, and type of exercise affect the development of cardiorespiratory endurance, and explain the best ways to prevent and treat common exercise injuries. Test your knowledge. 1. Compared to sedentary people, those who engage in regular, moderate endurance exercise are likely to A. have fewer colds, B. be less anxious and depressed, C. fall asleep more quickly and sleep better, D. be more alert and creative, E. all of the above. The answer is E. all of the above. Endurance exercise has many immediate benefits that affect all the dimensions of wellness and improve overall quality of life. 2. About how much blood does the heart pump each minute during maximum intensity aerobic exercise? A. 5 quarts, B. 10 quarts, or C. 20 quarts? The answer is C. 20 quarts. During exercise, cardiac output increases to 20 or more quarts per minute, compared to about 5 quarts per minute at rest. 3. During an effective 30-minute cardiorespiratory endurance workout, you should lose 1 to 2 pounds. True or false? The answer is false. Any weight loss during an exercise session is due to fluid loss that needs to be replaced to prevent dehydration and enhance performance. It is best to drink enough during exercise to match fluid lost as sweat. Weigh yourself before and after a workout to make sure you are drinking enough. Cardiorespiratory endurance, the ability of the body to perform prolonged, large muscle, dynamic exercise at moderate to high levels of intensity, is a key health-related component of fitness. As explained in Chapter 2, a healthy cardiorespiratory system is essential to high levels of fitness and wellness. This chapter reviews the short and long-term effects and benefits of cardiorespiratory endurance exercise. It then describes several tests commonly used to assess cardiorespiratory fitness. Finally, it provides guidelines for creating your own cardiorespiratory endurance training program, one that is geared to your level of fitness and built around activities you enjoy. Basic physiology of cardiorespiratory endurance exercise. A basic understanding of the body processes involved in cardiorespiratory endurance exercise can help you design a safe and effective fitness program. The cardiorespiratory system. The cardiorespiratory system consists of the heart, the blood vessels, and the respiratory system, or the lungs. The cardiorespiratory system circulates blood through the body, transporting oxygen, nutrients, and other substances to the organs and tissues that need them. It also carries away waste products so they can be used or expelled. The heart. The heart is a 4-chambered, fist-sized muscle located just beneath the sternum or breastbone. It pumps oxygen-poor blood to the lungs and delivers oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body. Blood travels through 2 separate circulatory systems. The right side of the heart pumps blood to the lungs through the pulmonary circulation, and the left side pumps blood through the rest of the body in systemic circulation. The path of blood flow through the heart and cardiorespiratory system is illustrated in Figure 3.1. Refer to that illustration as you trace these steps. 1. Waste-laden, oxygen-poor blood travels through large vessels called vena cava into the heart's right upper chamber or atrium. After the right atrium fills, it contracts and pumps blood into the heart's right lower chamber or ventricle. When the right ventricle is full, it contracts and pumps blood through the pulmonary artery into the lungs. In the lungs, blood picks up oxygen and discards carbon dioxide. Oxygen moves from the lungs to the blood, and carbon dioxide moves from the blood to the lungs by a process called diffusion. During exercise, you breathe faster to promote diffusion of these gases. The cleaned, oxygenated blood flows from the lungs into the pulmonary veins into the heart's left atrium. After the left atrium fills, it contracts and pumps blood into the left ventricle. When the left ventricle is full, it pumps blood through the aorta, the body's largest artery, for distribution to the rest of the body's blood vessels. The period of the heart's contraction is called systole. The period of relaxation is called diastole. During systole, the atria contract first, pumping blood into the ventricles. A fraction of a second later, the ventricles contract, pumping blood to the lungs and the body. During diastole, blood flows into the heart. Blood pressure. The force exerted by blood on the walls of the blood vessels is created by the pumping action of the heart. Blood pressure is greater during systole than during diastole. A person weighing 150 pounds has about 5 quarts of blood, which are circulated about once every minute at rest. The heartbeat, the split-second sequence of contractions of the heart's 4 chambers, is controlled by nerve impulses. These signals originate in a bundle of specialized cells in the right atrium called the pacemaker or sinoatrial SA node. The heart produces nerve impulses at a steady rate unless it is speeded up or slowed down by the brain in response to stimuli such as exercise. The blood vessels. Blood vessels are classified by size and function. Veins carry blood to the heart. Arteries carry it away from the heart. Veins have thin walls, but arteries have thick elastic walls that enable them to expand and relax with the volume of blood being pumped through them. The blood vessels are lined with endothelial cells that secrete nitric oxide, a chemical messenger regulating blood flow. Inflammation, physical inactivity, poor diet, smoking, high blood pressure, or insulin resistance can promote blood vessel disease, which has a wide range of negative effects ranging from erectile dysfunction to heart disease. Regular physical activity helps maintain healthy blood vessels. After leaving the heart, the aorta branches into smaller and smaller vessels. The smallest arteries branch still further into capillaries, tiny vessels only 1 cell thick. The capillaries deliver oxygen and nutrient-rich blood to the tissues and pick up oxygen-poor, waste-laden blood. From the capillaries, this blood empties into small veins, and then into larger veins that return it to the heart to repeat the cycle. Blood pumped through the heart doesn't reach the heart's own cells, so the organ has its own network of blood vessels. 2 large vessels, the right and left coronary arteries, branch off the aorta and supply the heart muscle with oxygenated blood. The fit and well lifestyle helps prevent coronary artery disease. The respiratory system. The respiratory system supplies oxygen to the body, carries off carbon dioxide, a waste product of body processes, and helps regulate acid produced through metabolism. Air passes in and out of the lungs as a result of pressure changes brought about by the contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm and rib muscles. As air is inhaled, it passes through the nasal passages, throat, larynx, trachea or windpipe, and bronchi into the lungs. The lungs consist of many branching tubes that end in tiny, thin-walled air sacs called alveoli. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are exchanged between alveoli and capillaries in the lungs. Carbon dioxide passes from blood cells into the alveoli, where it is carried up and out of the lungs or exhaled. Oxygen from inhaled air is passed from the alveoli into blood cells. These oxygen-rich blood cells then return to the heart and are pumped throughout the body. Oxygen is an important component of the body's energy-producing system, so the cardiorespiratory system's ability to pick up and deliver oxygen is critical for functioning of the body. The cardiorespiratory system at rest and during exercise. At rest and during light activity, the cardiorespiratory system functions at a fairly steady pace. Your heart beats at a rate of about 50 to 90 beats per minute, and you take about 12 to 20 breaths per minute. A typical resting blood pressure in a healthy adult, measured in millimeters of mercury, is 120 systolic and 80 diastolic, or 120 over 80. During exercise, the demands on the cardiorespiratory system increase. Body cells, particularly working muscles, need to obtain more oxygen and fuel to eliminate more waste products. To meet these demands, your body makes the following changes. Heart rate increases up to 170 to 210 beats per minute during intense exercise. The heart's stroke volume increases, meaning that the heart pumps out more blood with each beat. The heart pumps and circulates more blood per minute as a result of the faster heart rate and greater stroke volume. During exercise, this cardiac output increases to 20 or more quarts per minute compared to about 5 quarts per minute at rest. Blood flow changes, so as much as 85 to 90% of the blood may be delivered to working muscles. At rest, about 15 to 20% of blood is delivered to skeletal muscles. Systolic blood pressure increases, while diastolic blood pressure holds steady or declines slightly. A typical exercise blood pressure might be 175 over 65. To oxygenate this increased blood flow, you take deeper breaths and breathe faster, up to 40 to 60 breaths per minute. All of these changes are controlled and coordinated by special centers in the brain, which use the nervous system and chemical messengers to control the process. Energy production. Metabolism is the sum of all chemical processes necessary to maintain the body. Energy is required to fuel vital body functions, to build and break down tissue, contract muscles, conduct nerve impulses, regulate body temperature, and so on. The rate at which your body uses energy, its metabolic rate, depends on your level of activity. At rest, you have a low metabolic rate. If you begin to walk, your metabolic rate increases. If you jog, your metabolic rate may increase more than 800% above its resting level. Olympic caliber distance runners can increase their metabolic rate by 2,000% or more. Energy from food. The body converts chemical energy from food into substances that cells can use as fuel. These fuels can be used immediately or stored for later use. The body's ability to store fuel is critical because if all the energy from food were released immediately, much of it would be wasted. The 3 classes of energy-containing nutrients in food are carbohydrates, sugars, wheat, flour, and honey, fats, meat, nuts, and fried food, and proteins, seafood, poultry, and dairy food. During digestion, most carbohydrates are broken down into the simple sugar glucose. Some glucose circulates in the blood sugar, where it can be used as a quick source of fuel to produce energy. Glucose may also be converted into glycogen and stored mainly in the liver and muscles. If glycogen stores are full and the body's immediate need for energy is met, the remaining glucose is converted to fat and stored in the body's fatty tissues. Excess energy from fat in the diet is also stored as body fat. Protein in the body is used primarily to build new tissue, but it can be broken down for energy or incorporated into fat stores. Glucose, glycogen, and fat are important fuels for the production of energy in the cells. Protein is a significant energy source only when other fuels are lacking. ATP, the energy currency of cells. The basic form of energy used by cells is adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. When a cell needs energy, it breaks down ATP, a process that releases energy in the only form the cells can use directly. Cells store a small amount of ATP. When they need more, they create it through chemical reactions that utilize the body's stored fuels: glucose, glycogen, and fat. When you exercise, your cells need to produce more energy. Consequently, your body mobilizes its stores of fuel to increase ATP production. Exercise and the 3 energy systems. The muscles in your body use 3 energy systems to create ATP and fuel cellular activity. These systems use different fuels and chemical processes and perform different specific functions during exercise. The immediate energy system. The immediate or explosive energy system provides energy rapidly, but for only a short period of time. It is used to fuel activities that last for about 10 or fewer seconds, such as weightlifting and shot putting, or in daily life, just rising from a chair or picking up a bag of groceries. The components of this energy system include existing cellular ATP stores and creating phosphate, CP, a chemical that cells can use to make ATP. CP levels deplete rapidly during exercise, so the maximum capacity of this energy system is reached within a few seconds. Cells must then switch to other energy systems to restore these levels of ATP and CP. Without adequate ATP, muscles will stiffen and become unusable. The non-oxidative energy system. The non-oxidative or anaerobic energy system is used at the start of an exercise session and for high-intensity activities lasting for about 10 seconds to 2 minutes, such as the 400-meter run. During daily activities, this system may be called upon to help you run to catch a bus or dash up several flights of stairs. The non-oxidative energy system creates ATP by breaking down glucose and glycogen. This system doesn't require oxygen, which is why it is sometimes referred to as the anaerobic system. This system's capacity to produce energy is limited, but it can generate a great deal of ATP in a short period of time. For this reason, it is the most important energy system for very intense exercise. There are 2 key limitations to the non-oxidative energy system. First, the body's supply of glucose and glycogen is limited. If these are depleted, a person may experience fatigue, dizziness, and impaired judgment. The brain and nervous system rely on carbohydrates as fuel. Second, the rapid metabolism caused by this energy system increases hydrogen and potassium ions that interfere with metabolism and muscle contraction and cause fatigue. During heavy exercise, such as sprinting, large increases in hydrogen and potassium ions cause muscles to fatigue rapidly. The anaerobic energy system also creates metabolic acids. Fortunately, exercise training increases the body's ability to cope with metabolic acid. Improved fitness allows you to exercise at higher intensities before the abrupt buildup of metabolic acids, a point that scientists call the lactate threshold. One metabolic acid, called lactic acid, or lactate, is often linked to fatigue during intense exercise. Lactic acid does not last long in the blood. It breaks down into lactate and hydrogen ion, or acid, as soon as it is produced. Lactate is an important fuel at rest and during exercise. The oxidative energy system. The oxidative or aerobic energy system operates during any physical activity that lasts longer than about 2 minutes, such as distance running, swimming, biking, or even just standing in line. The oxidative system requires oxygen to generate ATP, which is why it is considered an aerobic system. The oxidative system cannot produce energy as quickly as the other two systems, but it can supply energy for much longer periods of time. It is the source of our energy during most daily activities. In the oxidative energy system, ATP production takes place in cellular structures called mitochondria. Because mitochondria can use carbohydrates, glucose and glycogen, or fats to produce ATP, the body's stores of fuel for this system are much greater than those for the other two energy systems. The actual fuel used depends on the intensity and duration of exercise and on the fitness status of the individual. Carbohydrates are favored during more intense exercise, more than 65% of maximum capacity. Fats are used for mild, low-intensity activities. During a prolonged exercise session, carbohydrates are the predominant fuel at the start of the workout, but fat utilization increases over time. Fit individuals use a greater proportion of fats as fuel because increased fitness allows people to do activities at lower intensities. This is an important adaptation because glycogen depletion is one of the limiting factors for the oxidative energy system. By being able to use more fat as fuel, a fit individual can exercise for a longer time before glycogen is depleted and muscles become fatigued. Aerobic exercise and high-intensity interval training increase the number and capacity of mitochondria. Increased mitochondrial capacity is the most important benefit of exercise. Mitochondrial health and fitness are linked to a reduced risk of disease and improved longevity. Oxygen is another factor limiting exercise capacity. The oxygen requirement of this energy system is proportional to the intensity of exercise. As intensity increases, so does oxygen consumption. The body's ability to increase oxygen use is limited. This limit, known as maximal oxygen consumption or VO2 max, refers to the highest rate of oxygen consumption an individual is capable of during maximum physical effort. It is expressed in millimeters of oxygen per minute per kilogram of body weight per minute. In the symbol, the V stands for volume, the dot over the V means per minute, the O2 stands for oxygen, and the max means maximum. VO2 max determines how intensely a person can perform endurance exercise and for how long, and it is considered the best overall measurement of the capacity of cardiorespiratory system. The assessment tests described later in the chapter are designed to help you evaluate your VO2 max. The energy systems in combination. Your body typically uses all three energy systems when you exercise. The intensity and duration of the activity determine which system predominates. For example, when you play tennis, you use the immediate energy system when hitting the ball, but you replenish cellular energy stores by using the non-oxidative and oxidative systems. When cycling, the oxidative system predominates. However, if you must suddenly exercise intensely by riding up a steep hill, for example, The other systems become important because the oxidative system is unable to supply ATP fast enough to sustain high-intensity effort. Physical fitness and energy production. Physically fit people can increase their metabolic rate substantially, generating the energy needed for powerful or sustained exercise. People who are not fit cannot respond to exercise in the same way. Their bodies are less capable of delivering oxygen and fuel to exercising muscles. They can't burn as many calories during or after exercise, and they are less able to cope with lactic acid and other substances produced during intense physical activity that contribute to fatigue. Because of this, they become fatigued more rapidly. Their legs hurt and they breathe heavily walking up a flight of stairs, for example. Regular physical training can substantially improve the body's ability to produce energy and meet the challenges of increased physical activity. In designing an exercise program, focus on the energy system most important to your goals, because improving the functioning of the cardiorespiratory system is critical to overall wellness. Endurance exercise that utilizes the oxidative energy system, activities performed at moderate to high intensities for a prolonged duration, is a key component of any health-related fitness program. Ask yourself questions for critical thinking and reflection. When you think about the types of physical activity you engage in during your typical day or week, which ones use the immediate energy system? The non-oxidative energy system, the oxidative energy system. How can you increase activities that use the oxidative energy system?